There's a medrash over here in this week's parsha. I guess that's why it's over here in this sefer, and maybe because of some of the inyanim that we will discuss is mentioned in the parsha. I assume that's why it's over here. So there's an interesting word from the Rebbe of Heschel, the Chanukah HaTorah, fascinating words, and that's as follows. The Medrash tells us, Yaakov Revendi, on the 40th year, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was involved with Moshe Rabbeinu, and they were learning, what subject be? They were learning the concept of smichus. When the Torah juxtaposes two topics, it's to tell you something about it. That you can learn one thing from another. Or, in this case, that one law pushes over, overrides, trumps the other law. For example, in Parshas Kiseitse, in the end of the Sefer Devorim that we're reading now, it says that a person should not wear shatnez. Okay? See, what does it say after the shatnez? What does that mean?
Tzitzis.
Tzitzis. So what do we learn out? That if your tzitzis have shatnez, you're going to have wool and linen tzitzis. It's not a problem. Because the asay, the positive commandment of wearing tzitzis, okay, and don't say you're going to wear it out of other materials. The mitzvah is to wear it with wool and linen. That mitzvah overrides the prohibition of shatnez, of wearing articles of clothing that have a mixture of wool and linen. That is the medrash. What is going on? Why the 40th year? Why are they discussing dafka dat sugya? Why over here? What's going on? What are we supposed to learn from it? Zato Rebbe Heschel as follows. Moshe Rabbeinu lived for 120 years. Why? Because he was involved with the receiving of the Torah and giving us the Torah for 120 days. Where do you see that? The 40 days for the first set of Luchos, the first tablets. The 40 days were in between. He was waiting till he got permission for the second tablets. And the next 40 are going to be for the Luchos Shniyos for the second set of tablets. So you got 120. The Jewish people had to be in Golos and exile in the wilderness for 40 years because of the 40 days that they sinned with the sin of the Miraglim of the spies, the Parshas Shalach. As the Pasuk says, one day for a year. According to this, there's a weird concept. Because we know, in fact we learned about it from the Ten Commandments, that there's a concept that Kadosh Baruch Hu, when it comes to Midah Tova, when it comes to good things, Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have the same measuring stick that he has for bad things. Midah Tova, for good things, it's much more than punishments. So, Father Rebbe Heschel, eyes on the kasha tzvi, great kasha. According to this, Moshe Rabbeinu should live more than 120 years. If you say a day for a year for punishment, so then it should be it should be much more than a day for a year. Moshe Rabbeinu should live much more than 120 years. I don't know, maybe live 240, maybe 360, whatever it is. But Yom Lashana, a day for a year, it's for punishments. And for rewards, we know it's much more. Okay, ready for this a little bit more of drush over here. Says Rebbe Heschel, that's only good if you say that Moshe Rabbeinu was correct when he broke the luchos. Then he could say, hey, all the 80 other years are also to my credit. Because I was right for breaking the first set, which caused the other 80. But if you say that he was not correct for breaking the first set, then it's good, because for 40 days of learning Torah, of getting us the Torah, he got 120 years. Now, where do you have this idea? Who said there was a havamina of the fact that it was wrong for breaking the luchos? Right, exactly, Tzvi. As far as I know, as far as until now, who said anything about being wrong? I mean, you had a kasha, fine. So we answered the kasha that he was wrong for breaking the first luchos, and therefore the cheshbon is correct. So you can't say something to answer a question. You need proof to that. Somebody, a Rishon, has to say that. And also, think of another answer. Don't just say this because you have a Rebbe Heschel's kasha. So the answer is, it's a Taisus. It's a Taisvis. Rabbi Hesh is not making himself to answer his kasha. It's a Taisvis. So you had somebody where it come from. What's this Taisvis? Where's the Gemara? The Gemara tells us, the Gemara Masechah Shabbos, not Peiches, the Gemara tells us that how did Moshe Rabbeinu know that he was supposed to break the luchos? God didn't tell him to break the luchos. He did a kal v'chomer. Kal v'chomer, for those who don't know what that is a certain limud. Tzvi, if I could lift 100 pounds, can I lift 50 pounds? For sure. Right? So if you have a halach, if you have a law about something like kal, then the chomer. Then for sure, I'm sorry, if you have chomer, then for sure kal. If I could weigh 150, if I could weigh 150, if I could lift 150, I could lift 50. Halavai, I weighed 100 or 50 or 150. Getting back to this. So now, what is it? The Torah tells us that if a person decided, I'm not keeping one mitzvah, even if it's one mitzvah, kol ben necha lo yokabo. A person decides, that's not for me. Saturday, I don't do it. He cannot bring the Korban Pesach. He's not allowed to eat the Korban Pesach. You do not include him in the Korban Pesach. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, hey, if even one avera, the guy cannot participate. Thank you, Tzvi. In the Korban Pesach, the Jewish people did avodah zarah. They did idolatry, which is considered what? Which is the whole Torah. Considered as if you did the whole Torah, and it's not just one person. It's all the people over there. Okay, so he made a kal v'chomer that they don't deserve the Torah. If they don't get the Korban Pesach, which is only one mitzvah, to get the whole Torah, I'm sorry, Charlie, they're not getting the Torah. Said Tosfos, I'm sorry, that's not really a proper kal v'chomer. Because by Pesach, you know why the Torah says you don't get to bring the Korban Pesach? Because you can bring Pesach Sheni. You have a second chance. But by the Torah, let Hashem give them the Torah. That's it. There's no other chance. This whole idea of Luchas Shniyos came out later. At that point, there was no such thing about Luchas Shniyos. There was no, Korban Pesach was different. There was no Luchas Shniyos. Let them give the Torah, and then they'll do tshuva, and then everything will be okay. So says Tosfos, it's not a kal v'chomer korban. The Mefarshim tell us why does tshuva work? Okay, this is cheshbon of Tosfos. Let them do tshuva. Who said tshuva work? Tshuva works to get rid of an avera because of the idea of asay doichalos asay. You do an avera, so you broke Shabbos. Shabbos is there. Tshuva comes. The mitzvahs asay of tshuva comes and trumps. And not trumps, it overrides, it pushes aside either Hucha or the Chuya. However you want to do it, I'm trying to do both shittas, okay, for those Lamdanim out there, the Akiva and all the Lamdanim out there. Okay, so it pushes it aside, it overrides it, Tshuva comes and knocks out the Avera. How do we know, I say Doichalos, I say, the beginning of this year? Because of the smichos of the juxtaposition of the mitzvah of shyness and the mitzvah of tzitzis. So now let's put them all together and we have a geshmaka pilpul. Now we understand. In the 40th year, it was the 40th year, Moshe Rabbeinu saw this concept of Yom Lashana, a day for a year. So then he said to himself, I don't understand. He saw in the Nevuah that he was only going to live for 120 years. So he said to himself, I don't understand, what do you mean 120? Me the Torah is Merubah Midas Peronius. I should live more than 120 years. So he says to himself, you know what? Elamai like Tosfos. I was not right. Oh, Tzvi, such a big lamb, you figured it out. I was not right for breaking the luchos. As Tosfos said, because tshuva can come, and tshuva could get rid of this sin, and therefore the Jewish people would deserve to get the Torah. That's why he said to Hashem, let's learn the sugya of smichos. Let's learn the sugya of the juxtaposition of different laws in the Torah together, because that is the makor, that's the source for the idea of asay doichalos asay, of the positive commandment, tshuva in this case, or tzitzis going ahead and pushing aside, overriding the los asay, which was the whole reason why tshuva would work. And because tshuva works, that's why the That's why Kavachomer was no good, and that's why he was wrong for breaking the luchos, and that's why he only got 120 years for 120 days instead of getting more. I hope you guys understood it. There will be a quiz afterwards. I get in Shabbos.